What's going on, everyone? Jack here from Half Chrome, and this is the Velotric Summit 1. I've been riding this thing for a couple of weeks now, and I really like it. This is going to be my new daily driver. This is the e-bike that I'm going to keep and drive. And yes, I've ridden a bunch of these things. This one is mine. What is it that I like about this thing? Stay tuned. So this is my first bike from Velotric, and they are a California-based company, and they seem to be pretty in tune to details, and I really like that about this Summit 1 bike. Now, it is a mountain bike with some big old fat tires, but I find it actually super comfortable just as my daily driver. Like I said, this is going to be my e-bike. I've ridden a bunch of these things. I've reviewed a bunch of these things. And this is the one that I'm going to ride around town. Sure, I might take it off on a trail here or there, but I don't do a ton of trail riding. But it is nice to know that this can do that if I wanted to. One of the things that really makes this bike unique is their sensor swap technology. I can either use this as a torque sensor or a cadence sensor. And if you don't know what that means, most e-bikes under $2,000 have cadence sensors, and that's sometimes called a speed sensor. And it basically, as you spin your pedals, it adds power to the motor, right? And it's really easy. A torque sensor basically feels how much you pedal or how hard you pedal, kind of adjusts accordingly, giving you that power. It feels more like a traditional bike pedal would. That's what I'm going to use. But some people that just want an easier, simpler experience may opt for this cadence sensor. This is the only bike I've ever ridden where you can go between the two and figure out which one is best for you. The Summit 1 has a 750 watt motor with peak power up to 1300 watts, producing 90 newton meters of torque. That's pretty impressive. Now, you can run it as a Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3 e-bike. Basically, you're setting the top speed at 12, 20, or 28 miles an hour. I did set mine at 28 miles an hour, and that's moving. There are 5 different levels. You can kind of level up the pedal assist if you want. Now, this has a range of up to 70 miles. Now, listen, range is going to vary greatly on who you are and how you ride and where you ride and all sorts of different factors. So just kind of keep that in mind. But up to 70 miles, which is pretty impressive on, of course, one of those lower settings. It is a waterproof bike. The battery has an IPX7 rating, and the bike itself is IPX6. They have videos of this thing fully submerged in the water. We have a front suspension is a 120 millimeter hydraulic suspension fork, and it does have a lockout. There is a thumb throttle, right? So you don't have to just pedal. If you want to just cruise, which I'm guilty of myself more often than I'd like to admit, it's super fun. It's super convenient to just kind of cruise with that thumb throttle. The tires are Kenda 27.5 by 2.6 inch MTB tires. We've got a Shimano 8-speed derailleur and Shimano hydraulic disc brakes. I love hydraulic disc brakes. It's so much better than just cable driven. It has a color LCD screen, which is plenty bright, gives good information, and is easy to use. Even the menus inside of the screen here, where if I wanted to change from, say a level 2 to a level 3 bike, it is broken down and easy to understand. So many of these bikes, it is just difficult to navigate these menus. That is not the case. With this Summit 1, these menus are clear and easy to understand, and I don't have to rely on my manual in order to change any of these settings. I can just go in there and do that. I can also go into the app and do some of that inside of the app. Now, I don't have to use the app. It is nice that that app exists. I can switch between the 3 riding modes. We have the eco mode, we have the trail mode, we have the boost mode. I can bump up the screen brightness or change the speed limit. I can change a handful of different settings. I can, share my rides with my friends, get some of that information about the ride that I just had. And another really cool thing is this bike also has Apple Find My, right? So if, someone happened to steal your unlocked bike, you'd be able to locate where it was. So that is another really cool feature. I like that we have the app. I like that you don't have to use the app if you don't want to, but it is another way to access some of these settings on the bike and get a little bit more information. I mentioned earlier that this bike was basically waterproof. Velotric, they take their safety seriously. This is UL certified to US standards. There are a lot of really good things. We have a nice bright front headlight. We have a nice integrated brake light. Gosh, I love having a brake light. We've got puncture resistant tires. They've got a narrow, wide chain ring, removable battery with a handle, and a really strong front through axle hub. So lots of really good stuff on this bike to make it just a little bit safer. I said earlier that this bike, they paid attention to details, and that was really clear when I first got this bike and was putting it together. I was impressed by just the little things, and it's hard to kind of pinpoint some of that because it's just, this bike just feels put together well as I put it together. And let me explain. Let me talk a little bit about putting it together. So I got this bike and I put it together in roughly 30 minutes. It's like most e-bikes that come shipped to you. You got to put the front tire on, the pedals, the handlebars. That it wasn't hard at all. 30 minutes. But I did also get the optional fenders and rack, and I'll talk about that rack in a second because it is really nice. But that absolutely took me, probably an hour. The instruction video on how to put this bike together is great. It is really well done. But the accessory video, it's kind of vague and there's no talking. And just kind of the little things like making sure you had those fenders lined up right. It's got to be right. So just note, I don't know that it was particularly difficult. It was just a little bit more nuanced, and I found a harder time putting it together. Maybe I was frustrated. It was late at night, and the sun was going down, and I was losing some light in my garage. So maybe that's a me problem, but I do really like that rear rack as well. It is a MIC HD, so you can kind of put on those accessories, right, and things. I use this bike, like I said, to go around town. A lot of times on, say, a Saturday morning, I'll ride my bike into town, grab some donuts with my wife, coffee, and then bring the donuts back for my children. Just strap them onto the rear rack. It works quite well. Obviously, the fenders are nice as splash guards. They do also, it looks like, have a suspension seat post, which, I may have to look into that because that looks pretty awesome. I think my biggest gripe on this bike was the seat. I personally did not find this saddle comfortable, and I know that's probably again more of a me thing. So just kind of note they do have a suspension seat post. That would be awesome. A little bit more give there. I think I'm going to have to look into that. And they do also offer water bottle cages. I think that is also something that I'm going to look into because, I drink a lot of water when I'm riding. Even if I'm just kind of cruising, it's good to have access to water. So overall, my thoughts on this bike, it's solid. It is a really good bike. It is well put together. California-based company. They've got a bunch of stores in the U.S. already, which is nice, right? So if you have some issues, you can find a place where you can go. Comes in blue, which I have. I think it looks super sharp. They've got a sunrise orange and, of course, a space black. So you have some different options in terms of color. Yeah. I'm a big fan of this bike, and I am personally going to continue to ride it. I'm going to give my old bike to my son. He'll be happy about that. But yeah, good bike, definitely worth looking into. Hey, if you have questions for me, leave them in the comments down below. And if you are interested in this bike, I'll have a link down in the description below, so you can check that out. Oftentimes, manufacturers will give me coupon codes, so if that exists, I'll throw that down there as well. Hey, thanks for watching. Good luck and happy riding.